What's up, you beautiful, amazing human? It's Tenzin here, and today I'm gonna talk about one of the most popular questions on the internet about programming, which is, should you learn C++ in 2018 or 2019? And I'm gonna keep this video really short. So let's just answer it. The answer to if you should learn C++ is very simple, and it's a resounding, it depends. Yeah, I know. Alright, so as I said before, I'm gonna keep this video really short. Okay, so let's just start by talking about why you should not learn C++ in 2018 or 2019. Number one, you shouldn't learn C++ if you are a complete beginner or you're trying to switch careers and trying to get into the world of programming for the first time, okay? It's a terrible language. C++ is a terrible language for a beginner, okay? Why? Because you have to write a lot of code to get some simple things running. Whereas if you pick a more dynamic language like JavaScript, Python, or Ruby, you're gonna have a lot easier of a time learning it, okay? Because there's just such low barrier to entry, and you're gonna get going learning programming, for looping, and just doing it really fast. And if you're looking for jobs, I don't think C++ is a good idea for a beginner, not necessarily for jobs, okay? There are C++ jobs. I'm not saying there aren't C++ jobs, okay? But for a beginner, I don't think C++ is a good idea. Second thing, if you are into web development, C++ is definitely not a good idea, because if you're into web development, you should probably be going with JavaScript. Speaking of JavaScript, I have a premium course on JavaScript down below. Click the link, whatever. If you're into web development, you should do JavaScript, Python, Ruby, or PHP, right? All these languages are really good for web apps, okay? You shouldn't be using C++ for web apps. And the same thing goes for number three, which is, if you are into Android development, you should probably pick up Java or Kotlin. Kotlin is the future, right? That's used for Android apps. And likewise, number four, which is, if you are into iOS development, Swift. Swift is the way to go. Back in the days, Objective-C, but now Swift is the industry standard. So for building web apps, Android apps, and iOS apps, C++ is not a good option. Now, since we've talked about why C++ is not good or why you shouldn't learn C++, let's talk about why you should. You should learn C++ if you know that you're gonna be creating microcontrollers, game engines, and just performance heavy stuff like high frequency trading or like really heavy CPU heavy machine learning simulations. Like for that kind of stuff, C++ is phenomenal, okay? It's really performant when it comes to that kind of stuff. On top of that, C++ is used pretty much everywhere, in appliances, in robotics, in like some programming languages are built on top of C++, okay? Like Python, okay? Python is a dynamic language, right? It's a programming language of its own. But behind the scenes, C++ is just sitting there, just doing the work, okay? So C++ is a very powerful language. Even though I talked about all these points, all these reasons for why not to learn C++, there is a good reason why you should learn C++ too, right? If you're into robotics, then yes, C++ is a great option for that. Another reason why you should learn C++ is that if you learn C++, you're gonna have a much better understanding of computers, memory, and just a much better of a programmer. When I first started learning C, okay, not even C++, C++ is considered a higher level language compared to like C, okay? C is just bare bones, there's nothing to it. And when I first started dabbling into C and started learning C, I instantly became much better of a programmer because I had to learn all these different things like about memory, pointers, and just optimizing every single thing. Whereas, I wouldn't have to learn about those things if I just stuck with JavaScript or Python or Ruby or PHP, right? All these dynamic languages, you don't have to deal with that stuff. it's good in a way, but it's also bad that, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And when you learn C, you have to learn those. If you don't, you're not gonna be able to code in C. You know what I'm saying? So if you are trying to deepen your understanding, if you're trying to get better as a programmer, as an engineer, then C or C++ is a very, very good idea. Okay, so that's my 2 cents for why you should learn C++, or should you learn C++ in 2018 or 2019. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment section below as always, and I'll try to get back to you as much as I can. Other than that, take care and we'll talk soon. Whoosh.